you're not dreaming. This is going to be our smallest hot rod yet. This is our probably 30-year-old go-kart. It was mine when I was a kid, and somebody's birthday is coming up and it is going to be his. Yes, it's gas powered. Yes, it's a little bit big for him. He'll grow into it. We're going to make something for him to enjoy and me to enjoy together. And it's a rite of passage as a hot rodder. Right, Chunk? Mm-hmm. All right, so we have the standard rock-filled Briggs & Stratton 5-horse. We are obviously pulling this off. This is going to go away. It served us for many, many years. And that's it. We're going to retire it. We're going to take one of these Predator 212s you can get at Harbor Freight. Got it on a deal for $99. And we're going to slap it in this old go-kart. Alright, as if it's going to shock anybody, the engine is seized up and not moving at all. This is just the clutch itself that's moving. This chain is not going to be able to be saved at all, so I'm just going to cut it.
No, it doesn't get me.
You okay?
No, fuck.
Look how frozen this chain is. Probably won't be using this chain again. It's supposed to be a father-son project, although I don't think he really knows that he's getting it for his birthday, which is in like 2 weeks. Probably around the time this video is going to come out. But it's going as most father-son projects go, where the father's just working by themselves. So pretty good. All right, now that we got the chain off, I guess he's here in spirit because we traced him out with chalk over the summertime. Anyway, now that we got the chain off, I've got to get the engine unbolted from the frame. All right, 10th time should be the charm. First, I needed to get this kill switch off the engine. Now I just took the throttle cable off. Should be able to get this thing off now. Watch out, Chunk. Let's put this over here.
Now how's my engine gonna start?
We're gonna put a new one.
Oh, I see what's the problem with that other wheel right on the back.
You do?
Yeah. It's not working.
No. Good job. All right, that's good right there. Let me.
It's coming off?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good job.
There's a lot there.
Yeah. This go-kart used to be red too. All right. Well, what do we get for a replacement? We got our run-of-the-mill Harbor Freight replacement lawnmower engine. I mean, essentially all we're building is a lawnmower that doesn't mow your lawn and you can ride it. So what's the difference, right? Don't need instructions for anything, ever. All right, just discovered a couple things. One, I could tell by the valve cover being a rectangle that this is a Hemi 212, which is pretty cool. The other thing is that this is not going to work like that, so I'm going to have to mess with this. I could probably move, it looks like somebody put a bunch of nuts here as a spacer. If I move some of those nuts to the other side, I can probably get this sprocket to move over and maybe line up. So, got some work to do, but it'll work. Other thing we got to figure out is if it's going to bolt onto this engine plate here. Okay. All right, so I'm taking a piece of paper, and what I'm going to do is I want to get a pattern of this lower engine plate to see if it'll even just, it might directly bolt onto our engine plate that's on the go-kart here. So what I'm going to do is, it's kind of an old school trick. I'm going to get a little bit of just dirt on my finger here. And then I'm going to kind of trace the bolt holes. And now you can see what we're left with. Alright, so we verified that the engine fits on the motor plate without having to do anything. The sprocket is really close. I don't know if that's bad or good. I don't really know that much about go-karts. I don't even know if this sprocket will go on there without hitting this sprocket. So we may need to space it up a little bit. But what we can do, and I could show you, you can see it right here, is that this is never going to line up with this shaft here unless we move this sprocket over. So we're going to have to, like I said, take some of these nuts out of here and move this sprocket over, maybe two nut widths over to here, and maybe they get our sprocket in this area, and then I'll space our sprocket that's going to go on here to there. All right, now we're just using a standard like go-kart clutch, and I'll tell you this, I already know that we can't put this on here like this. One, because the wheel is in the way. I could probably force it in there, but I'm pretty sure that the clutch itself, the body, is going to touch that sprocket. So we might be bumping this thing up a little bit. But I think I have a solution for that anyway. So let me take the wheel off, because we're definitely starting there. Because we got to move that sprocket over anyway. Alright, I got the clutch mocked on there, and you can see this sprocket is pretty much, it looks like two nuts off. So if I move these two nuts to this side of the sprocket, it'll move the sprocket over, and they'll probably line up. So I'm going to take this off, and that'll be the move. Alright, looks like this is going to be a little bit of a layer cake to do, but we'll get it. Alright, we got it really close. I have the straight edge here, lines up with the middle of the clutch. Alright, we got to do a little massaging just to get our engine moved over where we want it to be. So the most logical way to do it is this. Alright, I had to mess around with the holes on the mounting plate and all that other stuff, but I'm pretty sure I got it where I want. With a straight edge, our driven sprocket lines up right with our clutch right there. So I'm pretty happy with that. And also our driven sprocket and our drive sprocket here are in line with each other. So what I'm describing is that this sprocket and that sprocket are like this with each other and not like... Alright, I got my engine mocked up where I want it. It's pretty straight with my sprockets. It's as straight as it's going to get. I found out the hard way that you want to own a chain breaker, because messing with a grinder to get a chain to the length that you need is a pain in the butt. These bike chains and stuff have a master link, which is basically how you put it on. You get the length that you need, slide this into the link, and then you put the little stopper key thing on there, whatever, I don't know what it's called. Alright, I got the chain master link on. That took more time than I was expecting it to. I got my engine where I want it to be, with the tightness of the chain that I think I want. I don't know. And now I'm going to tighten the engine down, and I think that'll be that. Alright, I think we're getting close. I got our throttle cable on here. I was able to use the old one, but the old one actually needed to be like lubed up and stuff. I had to take this off. Pain in the butt. It's in the way. I did loosen up the little mounting bolt there because this didn't want to move at all. So, you know, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this thing so it's turned towards me so I could pull it this way. And then I'll probably throw some fluids in this thing, try to air up the tires, and then maybe try to start it. Alright, the box says this thing takes a half a quart of oil. The cool thing about these is that they have a dipstick on both sides of the engine. So, you know, you got two options depending on how you mount it in your cart or mini bike or whatever to check the oil. Also, you could leave the funnel in. If you're like mine, you could leave the funnel in and check the oil. And that's good. All right, we got fuel in it. Let's try it out. Starts up mint. I mean, it is brand new. Okay, it's time to clean up the tools, air these things up, and see if we can maybe go somewhere with this. All right, I got all the tires aired up, but I can't turn the wheel. So, nothing better than a hammer. Wow. Wow, that is tight. I gotta figure out if it's the joints on the end or the spindles. I gotta start separating stuff here. All right, it's not that one. This one was a little sticky, but it's good now. Last thing we got is the wheel, which does not want to move at all. I gotta be honest, the steering is probably the last thing that I thought was going to stop me from riding this thing right now. I don't even know what to do right now. Would you believe if I told you that this worked to free it up? Probably not, right? Because I probably wouldn't either. I'm gonna have to, before I can get the steering wheel on, I'm gonna have to knock off this little edge that I made, because what I was doing before I turned the camera on, when I had the vice grip on here, I was also just jarring it with a hammer here to just break up whatever rust was inside. So now I've got to work with that. So what I think is happening is that the oil cutoff is killing the engine every time I go around a turn. So I'm going to disconnect that and try again. I believe the oil cutoff wire is this yellow one. So that's disconnected. Let's see. It's like playing Mario Kart in real life, and I'm way too big to be on this GoPro. Definitely feels like I'm going to flip every time I go around a turn. Almost. This is fun, but boy, I feel like I'm going over at every single turn. So let's go again. Can you believe I was thinking about hot rodding this thing up? I can barely keep the traction or do anything that doesn't resemble danger as it is. Harbor Freight knocked it out of the park, and I gotta be honest, this clutch is begging for forgiveness. I'm definitely gonna have to turn the throttle screw all the way in when my son rides this. Might even turn it in when I ride it. Keep myself from having crazy hospital bills, you know, because I don't need that. I'm too old, you know, I don't heal well anymore. But boy, that was fun. I'm out of breath. I mean, I'm also out of shape, which would explain a lot of it, but man, that's fun. I was sideways most of the time. I don't know how many of those little drifts you saw, but I need to do maybe a wider axle on this thing. I don't know. Definitely better brakes, because there are no brakes. But anyway, here's today's project, and boy, was it fun. I gotta be honest. Clutch isn't really even warm. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. A little bit of an add-on. It's just some extra content. This is not our normal content, that's just hot rod stuff, but if I'm being honest, I'm backlogged with work right now. Slugged basically with that Camaro. And a lot of the stuff that I'm doing on it isn't really like filmable stuff. So I'm trying to throw in stuff here and there while I bang out some of the stuff that needs to get done on that until we can put out like another big video on that, which they're coming, believe me. We also have a bunch of other projects, a bunch of other hot rods to build currently, and that's without buying anything else new. So stay tuned. As always, thank you guys for watching. American Nostalgia Garage, out.